Hey guys. How's everything? Let me just get my scrollies up and running. There we go. So, I'm so excited you guys are here. I didn't think anybody was gonna come today. Yes, it is my head, my giant head. And I'm wearing the awesome t-shirt that MVP designed for me. So yeah, how's everybody doing? I'm doing pretty good. Like I was just saying in the chat, I had a pretty stressful day at work. Why would nobody come today? It's lentil day. I know, right? Lentils are the best. They're like the best thing. I hope you guys are super pumped to like watch me make some stuff with lentils. I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm not really, but so yeah, today is lentil day. Oh, lentil chips, 10 out of 10. You are so right. I don't have chips very much, but yeah, the lentil chips are the bomb. Cable's had a great day at work, and she kept breaking all the system tools. It happens. So at work right now, I'm kind of taking over a bunch of other people's responsibilities, and we're not hiring any other people at the moment, so it's a little stressful, but I'm managing to do everything. Today was just compounded by some absences, which, you know, it happens, but once I started actually finishing things at like 1 o'clock, the relief started to like take over. So I've been pretty good for the rest of the day, but tomorrow should be pretty good. It's just, all of the deadlines are like at the same time. So like between 1 and 3. And, I haven't actually had to stay like super late the past couple weeks. I do have 9-hour days, but a couple weeks ago I was doing like 10-hour days several times a week, so I haven't had to do that in a while, but it'll get better, especially as I get faster and learn how to do things more efficiently. But yeah, other than that, I had a really good day, and I'm super excited to be streaming again. Hopefully soon I'll be able to stream from the kitchen, because we did get our moolah. So MVP is going to help me pick out a really cool laptop, and we're going to get everything set up. I got under cabinet lights. Oh, Haley! You awesome soul. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Don't Buy Ducks, for the host. As always, you're the bomb. You guys distract me with your awesomeness. Duck says, can't stay long, gonna be mostly AFK until I go. Okay, Ducks. That's cool. Just so you know, Ducks, I did not make the lentil chili recipe in this episode, the one that I gave you. So I will definitely be making, like, chili on the show, like, all the time, because it's actually one of my favorite dishes. So I will be... I don't know what's happening in chat right now. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, chili is like the best thing, and it's really easy to make with just beans. And I know a lot of people who are like hardcore chili fans like hate beans in their chili, but if you don't eat meat and you don't want to spend a lot of money for like replacement meat, beans are like the best possible option. So yeah, I make chili a lot, and the lentil chili that I gave Ducks the recipe for is really good. It's all beans and vegetables, because it's something that I made with a bunch of garden vegetables that my neighbors gave me last summer, and it turned out really good. So I'll probably make that on stream in the future. But yeah, so lentils, they're pretty rockin'. They're really versatile. They have a nice meaty flavor, and they're high in nutrients, especially in protein. Duck says, I like that chili more than regular chili. Awesome. It's really good. Lentil chili is probably the best vegetarian chili, just because it has that stickiness to it like regular chili has. And it really lends well to the jalapeno and the chili pepper flavors and the tomatoes. Growing up, we used to have this mix that was like a carrot lentil chili that was really good, and I've wanted to like try to figure out how to make it for a long time, but I don't remember what all else was in it, so I'll have to figure that one out. Lee Nightingale's made bean burgers last night. Cool. So yeah, lentil burgers are one of the things that I'm going to be showing you how to make in this episode. And side note, 2 out of 3 of the recipes in this show were kind of made on the fly. And I assure you, they did turn out really great. The recipes are at the link that I'm going to put in the chat right now. And you can follow along if you want. If you have any questions, ask them while we're going, because I'll be in the chat. But yeah, so the first recipe for lentil loaf is one that I adapted from something called the Magic Loaf Studio Adventist Style Loaf Generator. And it's basically, you check off a bunch of things. How long is today's episode? It's going to be about an hour and a half. So there's a lot of stuff, and I tried to trim it down using Premiere, and I might have missed some things I could cut out. Loaf Generator, yes. Say that 10 times fast. But yeah, so the link is in the chat. The link to the link, if you ever want to try it, you can basically use any types of beans and grains and veggies in it. And I've used it a bunch of different times before. So yeah, the only thing is that, and I'll talk about this in the video as well. Oh, hey, green screen. Why do you suck? All right, we're gonna do this. Yeah. So the other recipe for the lentil burgers is similar. It uses a formula, also available on a website, located at the link I provided, with tweakings. So basically all of these recipes that I've adapted are ones where I felt like the flavor wasn't pronounced enough. So basically what I've done is just added more spices to it. So, and then the last one, the lentil meat sauce, is just for a heartier pasta sauce. I came up with it when MVP and I were training for 5Ks. I never actually did a 5K, but I aspired to do one. And MVP did a 5K, and it was training for it all the time. So we were kind of clean eating, like no oil and leaner proteins. So that's where that recipe came out of. But it's really delicious, and I do make it a lot, but not like regularly, just because it's one of those things that takes a few extra steps. So, but yeah, I'm going to get started because it is a long video. But like before, I'm going to be in the chat, so if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me. And yeah, we're going to get started. So, rolling video. Okay, so we have a lot to cover today. Part of this series, my first initial series, is all about teaching you how to use plant-based proteins. And today's episode is going to be all about lentils. So I've done a lot of prep work in advance, and the reason this is because the recipes that I'm using today use the lentils as an ingredient as opposed to just by itself or as the main feature of the dish. So earlier today, I went ahead and I made a ton of lentils. This is 3 cups of dried lentils boiled, and it only took about 20 minutes to cook them. I didn't add anything, I just boiled them in water. And we're going to use them to make a lentil veggie loaf, lentil burgers, and a lentil pasta sauce, which is kind of supposed to be like a meat sauce. Because lentils have a really unique flavor, and they lend themselves really well to that sort of thing. So, the first thing that I'm going to put together is the loaf, and that's because it needs to cook the longest. So hopefully by the end of it, you'll be able to see what it looks like when it comes out. Otherwise, we'll just have to do that whole, like, TV show magic thing and stop recording and start recording again when it's finished, just so that you can see how it all works. So, I actually created this recipe using the Magic Loaf Studio. I changed it a little bit, but this is a really good resource for anybody who's trying to eat more plant-based meals, but really wants more traditional style food than just eating like salad and soup and, you know, stuff most people consider boring. So the loaf is kind of like a meatloaf, but it is made all out of vegetables and beans and grains. This is what they consider an Adventist style vegan dinner loaf. I'm not really sure why that is. A long time ago I came across it, and a lot of Thanksgivings this is what I'll make instead of having like a fake turkey or whatever. Just because it's a lot better for you, it's still high in protein, it still makes you feel satisfied. And it usually turns out really good. So yes, I have not tried this recipe before. I was actually going to try to make something similar to this a couple years ago, and it didn't happen because my mom's kitchen is really small, and yeah, there would have been too many steps involved. So I started by cooking these vegetables ahead of time. So it's an onion and 2 carrots and 2 stalks of celery, and then 2 garlic cloves. So the recipe is pretty straightforward. It just wants you to combine everything in a bowl, and you mash it all together really well. So we're going to reuse this pot because we're doing bulk cooking. So a lot of the other stuff we're making is going to be similar ingredients, so you don't need to worry about cleaning it. Really, all this was sauteed vegetables and olive oil. It didn't have any seasonings on it, so you don't need to worry about cleaning it. So the next ingredient I'm going to add is 1/2 cup of walnuts that have been kind of pulsed to kind of make them powdery but still kind of chunky. You don't want them to be a complete powder. And Rusty is here to help. He doesn't know that I don't need his help, but that's okay. Actually, I'm just going to scoop this out. I won't be needing this again, so I'm just going to do that. Cinco. Okay, so for the loaf, we're going to need 2 cups of cooked lentils. And, I forgot tapioca flour. Be right back. Look out, buddy. Gotta love when you forget something. Okay. Before I add that, though, I'm going to do all my seasonings. So, this one, we're going to do cumin. I need to find my sage. Sage, cumin, Italian seasoning, and nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is a magical ingredient that vegans use a lot to add some nice cheesiness to their recipes. So, spices for this particular dish are 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of sage. Two teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of the nutritional yeast. Okay, so because this one is going to have soy sauce in it, I don't need to add the salt and the chili powders for the next recipe. So we've got our lentils. What I'm going to do now is mash everything up before adding the stabilizing ingredients. And nothing works better for that than a good old-fashioned fork. I don't even have a potato masher or anything. You don't need one. Now you can mash the lentils by themselves if you want, but one of the things that the chunks of vegetables does while you're mixing it like this is it helps squish them, actually, because the vegetables themselves are a little bit firmer. So basically the fork is being aided by the veggies in smushing the lentils. And it doesn't have to be, you know, like completely pulverized, but see how that's stuck together nice? We'll just do that for a little bit more. Rusty is here. He is waiting for me to drop something on the floor, which is not going to happen. Sorry, doggo. That's pretty good. You don't need it to be completely smushed because as it cooks in the loaf pan, it's gonna kind of like stabilize itself and stick together. It's gonna work out really well. So on top of that, I'm gonna do 3 tablespoons of the tapioca flour, and I'm gonna wipe this off so that I don't get nutritional yeast in there. Tapioca flour is one of the magical ingredients that you can use to make vegan cheese, which I should have an episode of that at some point. There's a number of books that you can buy that'll show you how to do it. The one that I have is called the, what is it? The Non-Dairy Formulary. It's very good. But you really do have to follow the instructions. So if you're one of those creative cooks, it might not be the best option for you. Okay, so a cup of brown rice, which I also made in advance. And we're just going to use my half cup scoop twice. Did you want some? Here. You want some rice? Alright, you gotta go sit. Sit. Stay. Okay. Dog treat break. Alrighty. Tapioca flour, sage, nutritional yeast. Oh, let's put some black pepper in there. Okay, so all I need is vegetable broth and soy sauce. So for soy sauce, I use this liquid aminos, and it's an alternative to soy sauce. It's very salty. It tastes really good. It's made out of basically soy protein. And that one we need 2 tablespoons. Okay. So Mr. Loaf Generator says 1/4 to 1/2 of a cup of vegetable broth. So what we're going to do is start with 1/4, and then if it's still not sticking together real well, we'll use the rest of it. So let's see if I have a 1/4 cup. Here we go. And I just got myself really good on the edge of the drawer. Okay. So I just made this vegetable broth today, and it's probably going to be really messy. Oh, look at that. I'm a pro. Cool. Get my spoon. And just mix this up real good. One of the things the tapioca flour is going to do is it's basically a starchy binder. So think of it as maybe replacing eggs. Meatloaf traditionally has eggs in it, and this is like a plant-based alternative. See, it's getting all goopy and stuff. I don't think we'll need to add any more stuff to it. So one of the things you have to remember when you're like making an alternative recipe, an alternative to what you're used to, is that the texture is going to be different. So if, for instance, we were going to make a meatloaf with like a meat replacement, that's the closest that you can get to actually making a meatloaf recipe that's like in your family. Otherwise, it's not going to really work out. So like the lentils in here don't have the same texture as ground beef. Like, it's going to be nice and firm. It's not going to, like, you're not going to be able to pick it up and hold on to it and have it be like a burger patty, like when you're making meatloaf. So this actually looks pretty good. Let me just double check the recipe to make sure I haven't missed anything. That's pretty good. Okay, so 1/2 cup walnuts. I actually didn't use that much oil when I sauteed the veggies, so maybe like a teaspoon of oil, 1 onion, 1 clove of garlic, 2 cloves if you really like garlic. I put 2 carrots and 2 celery in there, 2 cups of lentils, 2 cups cooked lentils, cup of cooked brown rice, 1/4 cup of vegetable broth, 3 tablespoons tapioca flour, 1/2 teaspoon dried sage, 2 teaspoons ground cumin, 2 teaspoons Italian seasoning, 2 tablespoons nutritional yeast flakes, some black pepper, and then 2 tablespoons soy sauce. So, at this point, we're going to bake it. And the directions say to grease a pan, but I'm just going to use parchment. I prefer parchment. I don't really have a whole lot of luck when I don't. Maybe because I like cooking things longer than what's recommended. They have a tendency to stick to the pan, so I gave up on that a long time ago. I don't even make cookies without a parchment paper. It helps it brown too. Get crispier on the outside. So yep, all you're gonna do is put it in your loaf pan. And this loaf pan is actually narrower than a lot of regular ones, and that's why I'm using it. So you'll get nice tall slices when you're finishing up the product there. Here we go. So then you just kind of want to smush it into a nice loaf shape. I'm not going to put anything on top of it. I know a lot of people, when they make meatloaf, they make this weird tomato-y, ketchup-y sauce to put on top of it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to serve this with mashed potatoes and sauteed asparagus. So to me, something that's tomato-y just kind of seems very peculiar. Okay. There you go. Looks pretty good. So we're going to bake this at 350 degrees for about an hour. You can check it after 45 minutes, but it's pretty moist, so I don't think it'll be ready by then. Okay, so next thing that we're gonna make are lentil burgers. And again, I don't use a recipe per se, I use a formula. This one was actually created by the No Meat Athlete website, which I really like, actually. We've made a lot of really great burgers using this formula, so I'm going to do it again. Again, it's kind of a experiment with what you have sort of recipe. So I haven't made this before. I haven't made one like this. But we're going to do it, and it's going to be great, and you're going to see. So eyeballing it and put some oil in there. And this time you get to watch me chop some vegetables. So exciting. So let me get some of this stuff out of the way. Okay. So, where's my onion? I had an onion. It's disappeared. It doesn't want to die. So strange. Oh well. I don't know where that came from. See, I try to make sure I got everything ready for you guys, and somehow I still bork it. 2 days later, I'm gonna find an onion behind one of these things. Maybe in with the bananas. Whatever. Okay, so you can totally see my cutting board here. So this is the first episode that I've filmed with 2 cameras. And still have to kind of get used to it. So onions suck, but this is how I usually take care of it. Oh, I know what I did. Y'all, I put it in the freezer because if you freeze or refrigerate an onion before you cut it, it won't be as potent. But that's okay. We'll just take that out. So you'll notice how I'm cutting the onion. I'm very paranoid about cutting myself, so I never leave my fingers down. You want to have your fingertips so the nail is facing upwards at all times. So that way if you slip, if the knife slips, you're more likely to hit your nail, less likely to chop your fingertip off. Okay. So this recipe actually calls for half of an onion, but onions taste delicious, so we're just going to do the whole thing. We are also going to add to the onion a cup of sweet potatoes, a half a cup of frozen chopped collard greens, and a half a cup of frozen corn kernels. And it's frozen because that's what I have, but if you have fresh, you can use that instead. It's all going to cook down anyway. So if you have the collard greens, for instance, you might have to use a cup because it's going to cook down when it's in the pan. Okie dokie. I need 2 cloves of garlic. See what I did there? Just crush the garlic, peel it, super easy. Okay, watch it again. Palm. Whoa! I've never been able to do that before. I'm on fire. Okay. Yes, I have a garlic mincer. No, I don't like to use it. There we go. It's minced. So we're kind of going to be doing some back and forth with this one because basically you're going to fry the vegetables, you're going to put everything in a food processor, pulse it up to mix it, and then you're going to make patties and then you're going to fry them. So we're going to go back and forth a few times, but they're going to be delicious and totally worth it. So while that's cooking, you can get the food processor set up. I still need this rice, so I'm just going to move it out of the way. Because we got a tiny kitchen here, don't have any room. The stove often becomes part of the counter. So one of the problems with veggie burgers, and yes, it is a problem, is that they have a tendency to fall apart. So what we're going to do is try using aquafaba as a binder, and I made this myself. So this is, look at how gooey it is. This is basically bean juice that's been kind of reduced in the refrigerator. So there's this thing that vegans are doing right now, or people with egg allergies too, where you take chickpea brine and you use it in place of eggs. And the reason this works is that there's a protein molecule that kind of coagulates, it whips up like egg whites in the chickpea brine. So this is a recipe that I've been using from a cookbook. It's basically a specific formula for aquafaba that also has seaweed in it, so that's one of the reasons why it makes it extra goopy. So what we're going to do, basically what they recommend is that for 1 egg you're going to use a 1/4 cup of this stuff, and we're just going to measure it out to get ready. So when we're ready actually to combine all the stuff, we're going to use that, we're going to whip it up, and we're going to use it as an egg replacer to try to keep the burgers together. We're going to see what happens. We're also going to use psyllium husks. I've had a lot of people tell me that this is better than like flaxseed when making your veggie burgers because it helps stick them together. So we're going to do that too. veggies are almost done. The reason why you want to cook your veggies before you use them in a veggie burger is to bake off some of the liquid. So they don't have to be fully cooked because you're going to be frying them again after you basically pulverize them in smaller pieces. So you just have to try to take some of the liquid out, because if you try to fry a really liquidy veggie burger, it's going to take forever to cook, and it's gonna fall apart all over the place too. So these are almost good. Those are done. Okay, so we need another bowl. We don't technically need another bowl, but we're just gonna use one because it will taste a little different than the last stuff. So, yeah, we're just gonna put everything in there and pulse it until it's combined. Maybe puree it a little bit. So this is gonna be challenging. I have no room. This is why on chef TV shows there's always like an island in the middle and the camera is on the opposite side of the person cooking. Can you see these delicious veggies? Yeah, you can. Oops! Here he comes to save the day. Careful, buddy, it might be hot. You want to leave it? Nope, you got it? I won't take it from you, I promise. So, it's a little burnt. To get ready to use the pan again, I'm just going to put some water in here and put it back on the hot burner. And that'll hopefully loosen things up a little bit. Okay, so my lentils. For this one, we are using 1.5 cups. Basically, for the beans for this recipe, according to the formula, you want a can of beans. And a can of beans is approximately 1.5 cups. And we are just going to eyeball it. I don't have any more sweet potatoes for you, Rusty. No, no more. No more. Shoo, go. Sorry, bud. Okay, get these out of the way. Okay. All right. So, got our garlic, got our sweet potato, corn, collard greens. We're gonna do some more of this magical liquid aminos. 2 tablespoons. So if you use this formula, I would recommend trying out some of the suggestions that are already on the website for it, just so you can kind of get into the habit of figuring out your own combinations. Just because there's so many varieties, you don't really know what your flavor tastes prefer. I'm actually putting more spices in here than the recipe suggests or the formula suggests. And that's because I kind of like spicier food, not like hot spicy, but not like my flavor profile I want higher. I don't know. It's hard to describe. I don't want something that's bland. Okay, so I'm going to do a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar for some tanginess. These are kind of going to be like Southwestern inspired, I guess. This is really hard. Rusty, where is my opener thinger? There we go. Hi, you're a cutie. It's too bad I don't have a doggo cam. I'm using your doggo cam. Sorry. Okay. Smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon. Oh, I don't have 1 teaspoon. What did I buy anymore? Yeah, I did. Yay. I love it when that happens. How many of you guys have an Amazon Echo? And I say it really quietly because I have 2. That's the wake up word for one of them. The other one is the name. I've gotten into the habit of adding everything to my shopping list that way, and if I forget to buy something, I get really upset. And I recall this was on there. Look at that, I actually bought it. Amazing. Okay, so a whole teaspoon of smoked paprika. This is gonna be great. This is powerful stuff, guys. I don't know if you've had smoked paprika before, but it's so good. I'm just gonna put the rest of it on top. Rest of this guy in there. Okay, this one. Eep. Put that back in my favorite spices drawer. Okay, cumin and chili powder. We're gonna do 2 teaspoons of cumin. 2 teaspoons is like a really well-rounded amount of cumin for anything. That's how much cumin I usually put in my Mexican recipes and my chili. And a teaspoon of chili powder. So, I'm gonna go with a half a teaspoon of salt. Hopefully it's not too much. I'm gonna eat it, taste it when it's done, and if it's not salty enough, I'll add some more. You really should eat things while you're cooking them, just in case. Okay, so I'm gonna puree this pretty good, and then I'm gonna add the texture ingredients, which is basically like the stuff that makes it firmer. And I'll add the aquafaba mixture to it when we do that. So you don't want it too chunky, but you still want it to kind of incorporate a little bit. Definitely want it to mix up all those spices. Okay, so that's good to start. And now we're going to add the oatmeal. So we're going to do a whole cup of oatmeal. You had liquid in there. Okay. And we're going to do a half a cup of rice. And then the rice can go away forever. Okay, and we're going to do just a couple tablespoons of psyllium husk. That's not psyllium husk. Grabbed the wrong one. Oopsie daisy. So psyllium, I don't know if you noticed on the outside of the container here. It's good for you. That also had liquid in it. Okay, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna taste it, and then we're gonna add, I guess I didn't need to get, yeah, I didn't need that. Cool. So yeah, we're gonna puree it, we're gonna taste it, and then if it tastes good, we're gonna add the aquafaba. Okay, I lied. I'm gonna use the bowl. That's pretty well together. Still steaming. Those are some hot veggies. So part of the reason that I wanted to get into doing these videos was because I don't have my act together in real life. And if I make a point of doing a bunch of cooking on my day off, it will motivate me to eat more healthy. And you'd be thinking to yourself, but aren't you a nutritionist? Shouldn't you eat healthy all the time? Like, isn't that what you're passionate about? And it is. But you know what? I also like to watch TV and drink margaritas and play video games. And sometimes you really can't pick which one you want. So this kind of makes it easier to pick healthy and then also do the other things. Oh my gosh. This looks and smells so fabulous. I'm so excited. Oh my god. Okay. That looks pretty well mixed. Let's try it. That's pretty good. No. I didn't drop anything for dogs. No. There's nothing for you. Go away. So it tastes great, but I'm thinking it needs more spicy. So I'm gonna add some more of this. We'll just do 2 more teaspoons of chili powder. And it'll taste great, so I'm not gonna bother tasting it again. So we're gonna try to whip this stuff. See what happens. Oh, help if I plugged it in. Okay. Okay, can you see the before? Let's see what happens. See how foamy that is? That's crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit for just a second because I need to turn my pan back on. And one of the things about aquafaba that I've heard, I haven't really had this experience myself because I just started using it, is that it's gonna deflate. So right now we turned 1/4 cup into 1/2 cup, which is so cool. I mean, that's like science. Isn't that neat? Look at that. And it's a lot thicker. That's really fun. What are you barking at? Why are you barking? Rusty? What's the matter? Are you a good boy? Yeah, you're pretty great. I think you're pretty great. Okay, so we're gonna check out this pan here. That worked pretty good. Okay. So if you're gonna do something like this, you wanna make sure, very carefully, that you wipe off the bottom of the pan so you don't get anything on it. Hey, no. So that way nothing burns when you heat it back up. Okay, so we're gonna get this warming up again. Now the recipe calls for a lot of oil to fry these things, but I have a feeling that's because they didn't use aquafaba in their recipe or psyllium husks as binder. So I feel like that's more because they know that it's gonna fall apart, but I really don't think we're gonna have that much of an issue with it. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Still pretty good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add it in. Hey. I don't know, this looks like it's gonna be pretty great. I've also read that psyllium husk helps the aquafaba continue to do what it's doing under heat, especially when you're baking stuff. A lot of people who make like gluten-free vegan bread will use it in their bread loaves so that the bread will continue to rise on the inside and you don't have like these giant holes in it. Look at that. That's pretty fantastic. Okay, so I'm just gonna make little patties and I'm gonna squish them and then I'm gonna fry them. Now, I used to measure these out, and I might as well, just so that we get an even amount. Do 1/3 of a cup, see how that looks. Obviously, be very careful when you do something like that. Sticking your hand in the pan is not very smart. Especially if you don't have much experience cooking. Now, that brings me to a subject. So, a lot of people who might be watching this might be new to cooking. Maybe you're here because you want to learn how to make healthier food, and that's great. By all means. That's why I do this. But one thing that I want you to know is that you don't have to cook in order to be healthy. There's plenty of things you can eat that don't require a lot of experience. You don't really have to cook if you don't want to. And that's something that we can talk about in the future. Obviously, this show at the moment is all about cooking, but I am more than happy to show you alternatives because, like I said earlier, sometimes I don't want to cook, and one of the reasons why I'm doing this now is because it'll make things more convenient for me when I get home and I don't feel like cooking something. So we're going to cook those for a few minutes on each side. We're going to do about 3 minutes and then check them. But I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these patties made. Come on, there we go. So if you do 1/3 cup for your veggie patties here, it actually makes quite a bit. We use this formula all summer. I have successes and failures. A lot of my failures come from being too creative. So it's really good to stick to the formula. And I put more spices and more veggies in mine than it recommends. But something like that is really more versatile. You want to make sure that you keep the binders, the dry bases and stuff pretty much the same. Otherwise the texture is going to get a little off. You need the ratios to stay there. Now, No Meat Athlete also has a really cool energy bar recipe that uses beans. And I'm going to make some chickpea blondies in the chickpea episode. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. One of the reasons why I like lentils so much is because they're so cheap. Like a pound of lentils is insignificant in terms of cost. And it makes so much food. Like today I bought 2 pounds of lentils. I cooked the 3 cups and I still probably have a cup left over. They usually double in size when you cook them, so made about 6 cups of lentils. I'm making 3 recipes with them that are going to have a number of servings each. So they're really affordable. They're high in protein too. Lentils are a type of pulse. I think they're pulses. They're lentils. They're either pulses or legumes. I have trouble keeping track which is which. But needless to say, I eat lentils and chickpeas more than other beans, just because they're so versatile when it comes to cooking them. So anything that you have left over, you can just kind of add on to. And we've met our 3-minute mark, so let me flip these over and see what happens. It smells really good. I'm just going to use handy dandy here. Oh. Got some pan stickage. Oh, failure. Sadness. Well, here we go. Adding more oil. And turn the heat down too. We'll baby them a little bit. Okay, so we're going to bake 3 of these, and then we're going to fry 3 of them in the cast iron skillet and see which one works the best. So for baking, I think we're going to try 20 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 20 minutes. not oops for you. I didn't drop anything. So yeah, there you go. Stuck to the pan. So much for non-stick. But look, they stayed together pretty well. Okay. So I have one more thing I want to show you how to make. This one is really easy and comes together in literally no time. So I'm going to make a type of meat sauce. It's like a meat sauce, but it's with lentils. I've made it before, but I don't make it very much just because I don't usually bulk cook lentils like this. So basically it's integral or essential for you to make the lentils ahead of time in order to make this recipe. Otherwise, you have to cook the lentils in the sauce. The lentils absorb liquid as you cook them. They're going to reduce the amount of liquid you have in there. You have to add water. You have to add twice as much tomato sauce. So really, it's better if you just cook them in advance and add them. Kind of like if you were going to make a soup with pasta in it and you wanted it to be thick, the pasta will absorb all of the liquid. But if you want the pasta to be nice and firm and have sort of a different sort of flavor profile as the rest of the soup, you would cook the pasta separate and then add it when everything's finished. Ooh, that is definitely hot. Okay. See if we can salvage this monstrosity. So we didn't need the rest of this broth, that's good. So this is a recipe that I came up with a number of years ago, and I came up with it because it is pretty much oil-free, sugar-free, free of all those things. And it's also so easy that it takes you 5 minutes to put together and about 15 minutes to cook. So it all hinges upon the fact that you have the lentils already cooked, which is one of the many reasons why I recommend keeping cooked lentils on hand. They'll last in the refrigerator for a few days, but you can just keep them in the freezer until you need to do a bunch of batch cooking again. Do kind of what we did here, make a loaf, make some burgers, make this pasta sauce. You could even eat them by themselves, just thaw them. You can put them in a salad. They're really delicious, even by themselves. They have a very strong flavor. A lot of beans don't really have a unique flavor. Lentils do. I don't know if you've ever had any of the meat substitutes from field roast, but they have a particularly lentil-y flavor, which is not bad. It's just very different. So, this one, so easy. You're going to use 2 small cans of tomato sauce, 14 ounces, or 1 large one. This one is chunky. It already has some seasonings in it, but it's really not going to affect the flavor profile at all. And we are actually going to, we're going to taste it when it's done, or while it's cooking, because I haven't made it in a long time. I might want to change it a little bit. But basically, you just add all of the things to the pan, or the pot, and you let it simmer. Let's check these burgers. Oh yeah! Cast iron skillet to the rescue, guys. Oh, look at it. It's so delicious. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna eat one of those right now. Okay, so tomato sauce. Then you're gonna add some cooked lentils. I'm gonna add about 2/3 of a cup and then see how it looks as it's cooking. I might add more. You could also, if you want to make it more like a meat sauce, kind of mash them before you add them in. But I'm not too particular about texture. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it in just plain like that. So we're also going to need garlic powder, basil, and a couple other things. Oh, hiding. Basil, pepper, salt, red pepper, and balsamic vinegar. Okay, tablespoon. So it's going to be a tablespoon of balsamic. Again, if you have a tomato sauce that is already flavored, it might be sweeter, so you might not need to add as much balsamic, or you might need to add more. So that's one reason that you always want to taste things as you go, because you never know how different things are going to be when you buy different ingredients. So just salt and pepper. Then we're going to do a teaspoon of basil. I don't need another teaspoon. I kind of did a heaping teaspoon. A few shakes of the red pepper. And then we also need a teaspoon of the garlic powder. Let's check on these burgers. Yeah, and they look pretty good. Let's do a couple more minutes on that side. Okay, so we've got everything in there. And yes, I'm finally using a different spoon because these ones taste different. Much more different than the other ones. So I'm going to get a lid because these, when you make sauce, it splashes because it's so thick and you don't want that to get everywhere. So it's already bubbling, so I'm not going to worry about turning the heat up. I'm just going to let it sit there and then I'm going to taste it in a few minutes. So here we are. We have made everything that I wanted to make, and I'm pretty sure that the loaf still has some time to go. I did not get it in there exactly 1 hour ago. So this still has a little bit to cook, but I want to taste it in case I need to add anything to it. I can do that while it's still cooking. So basically, one of the things you're doing with this recipe is letting it reduce. It's not necessarily that you're doing it very much, especially because this is a chunky sauce, but you do want it to thicken up a little bit, otherwise it's not as special, I guess, is the best way that I can put it. But we're gonna taste it. It's been a few minutes, so the dried herbs have imparted at least some flavor. So that way we can add some more if it's not flavorful enough. Ooh! Alexa, stop! That's tasty. Got a nice sweetness. Taste the garlic. Taste the basil. I feel like it needs a little more pepper. So I think I'm gonna add both kinds. This red pepper I got from Aldi is not very spicy. So I have a tendency to have to add a lot of it to get a nice flavor. So the timer that just went off was for those burgers we baked. So we're going to take those out. See how they are. Maybe flip them. Maybe cook them for some more. That looks pretty good. Hot. They are hot. Don't let my touching them convince you otherwise. Okay. See, they've got a nice firmness to them. So I'm thinking maybe 10 more minutes. Flip them, bake them 10 more minutes. Look out, Resto. Back up. Come on. Get out of the way. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Starting now.
All right, so we're going to come back to that. So I feel like, first of all, I've done a little cleaning up. Through the magic of television, we've jumped ahead about 20 minutes. And I feel like this sauce is done. If you look at it, it's nice and chunky. You can see. And give it a little tasty wasty. Yum, yum, yum. Yep, that's got the perfect amount of pepper in it. Yum. Okay. So our alarm just went off for those burgers. So I'm going to show you what the final verdict is. Ooh. got a chair in the way. Okay, so yeah, I cooked these for 20 minutes on one side and then 10 minutes for the other. They're definitely firmed up, but let's take a look and compare them to the ones that we fried in the cast iron skillet. These ones you can definitely pick up and hold. These ones are a little crumbly. These ones also have that really nice, like, charredness to them. So yeah, I'm gonna say that if you want a higher quality burger, see, look, this one's already cracking. Your best bet is to fry them in a cast iron skillet. And a lot of people have gotten out of the habit of using a skillet. Are you okay, Rusty? They're really not complicated, and they actually will give you better results consistently. Hey, this is not for you. Can you get out of my kitchen, please? Go. Go. You're gonna get hurt. So yeah, that's one of the reasons that I would recommend using them, because they cook really well. And I mean, non-stick is a lie. I mean, look at that. That is so much stick. And take a look at this skillet. There's nothing stuck on it. Nothing. Okay. So the real survey of a successful veggie burger is what it looks like when you bite into it. So I'm gonna try some. If it falls out all over the place, it's just like another burger. My bread is not helping the situation. Yep, we did good with this one, guys. All right. So, now you know. Definitely should be using psyllium husk and maybe aquafaba in your veggie burgers, because it'll keep it from falling out all over the place. So, let's check on our loaf. Can you move, please? I think it's been about an hour. Unfortunately, I forgot to ask for a timer. Where's my toothpicks? I've lost my toothpicks. Okay. Looks pretty good to me. My might be a little bit moist in there. Let's leave it, and then I'll make my side dishes, and we'll plate everything up. Get back. For these burgers, I'm actually going to keep them in the freezer. I'm just going to set each of them in in this bag here, and whenever I'm ready for them, I'm just going to take them out. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. I'm just going to take them out, and I'm probably just going to microwave them to warm them up, because they're already cooked. They've got a nice char on them. Really don't need to worry about anything else. That being said, I'm going to let them cool on the counter in this bag. I'm just going to leave it open. So, to go with the loaf, I'm going to make asparagus. And asparagus is really simple. You're just going to brown it. And I think I'm probably going to put some garlic in there too. So, I did use you, but you're pretty clean, so. You guys, I have so many dishes to do now. It's crazy. Okay, so, while my skillet warms up. Whoop! Nope, leave it. No garlic for you. I'm gonna mince some garlic. Woo! There we go again, crushing it. I don't know my own strength. Oops-a-daisy. It's kind of fun, actually. Let's do it again. Okay, that one didn't work. So until I started watching cooking shows, I used to struggle to get the stupid peel off of the garlic. That is really the easiest way to do it, you guys. If you were like me, and you would cut the end off, and then you would cut this end off, and then you would like slice in the middle in order to get the skin off, don't do that. And the reason why is because when you cut the garlic open, it starts emitting this sticky stuff like all over the place. And then the skin sticks to your fingers. It's a whole big mess. So I'm not going to mince this, I'm just going to slice it thinly. And then sizzle. You just rinse your asparagus off a little. It doesn't have to be perfect. Asparagus comes from underground, but it's often not dirty. It's not like a potato. Just take all that stuff off. It's not going to be good if you eat it. So one thing you have to think about when you're cooking or going through your asparagus is these top parts. They go bad pretty fast. So you just want to look at them. If they're a little soft, it's not a big deal. If this is like all mushy, it's going to taste horrible. You want to throw that away. And for these guys, I want tongs. Pepper, garlic, just a few minutes, and then we're just going to splash a tiny amount of balsamic on it. So this looks pretty good. Let me see if I can grab one to show you. This garlic looks freaking amazing. Can you see that? They're just getting to the point where they're browning. So one of the reasons why you don't want to cook the asparagus in the balsamic is because it's really sticky and it'll burn really fast. Okay, that is done. Let's check on this loaf. I'll plate one up so it'll look all pretty and like a real cooking show. And you guys will be like, oh my god, it's so great. Except where do I put the plate? Okay, we'll put you over here. We'll put this in the sink. Are you ready for dinner? She probably can't hear me. I'm really distracting in here talking to myself. She probably put her headphones on. That won't fit. Okay, we're gonna do my original plan. Taking this out of the dealie. Take it out of the dealie. Take it out. Woohoo! Oh, look at that. Can you see this? Check out this loafness. It's loafy. Rusty is so hoping that I drop some on the floor. Oopsies. That probably didn't help any. Oops is his magic word. Whenever he hears it, he thinks that there's something on the floor for him. Okay, we'll do one more slice. One more. Of course, now that it's not in the pan, it's gonna all fall apart. Okay, how does that look? We've got lentil loaf, mashed potatoes, and asparagus. Wee, 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 wee. Okay, so yeah, here we are. We made everything that was on our to-do list. Now it's time to eat it. So I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna put more food in my face, like this burger here, because it was really good. The loaf could use a little bit more time in the oven, but it is really tasty. The alternative would be that you could add a little bit more oatmeal. See how it's very moist on the inside, which is probably from some of the veggies, but it tastes so good. You could also add some psyllium husk. That could work for these as well. Oh my gosh. This is probably the best one that I've ever made. You like it, MVP?
Yep.
Is it the best one ever?
Yep.
She agrees with me. Oh my gosh, this is great. Nom, 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 nom. Alright, I'm gonna go. So yeah, go to my website for the recipe, and I will see you in the post video rundown for questions and answers about the recipes that you've seen here. And I've had a lot of fun chatting with you today, and we will be back for some more protein-rich, plant-based veggies or recipes. I'm just really distracted at how delicious this is. And now I have to clean all these dishes, which is going to take me like 2 hours, and then watch MVP streaming DDO on Twitch. So have a great night. Talk to you later. Happy eating. All right. How are we doing? We're back over here. So yeah. Do you guys have any more questions about the recipes? Bye, past Clem. Yeah, bye. Yeah, classic Mondays. I used to have Mondays off, so what I would do is I would go shopping on Sundays, and then Mondays I would basically make my kombucha and make like a ton of food for the week, and that's when I started filming these shows. So, oh yeah, I forgot that the curtain is all wonky. Elbows. Yeah. I'm not great with the green screen, in case you guys couldn't tell. But anyway. I hope that we're not dropping frames too bad. It looks like I'm at 10% at the moment, which is not ideal. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up. I wanted to thank everybody for coming. Again, thanks to Dux for the host, and thank you guys for showing up and chatting with me. And next week we will be back. The episode I have planned for next week is just a mishmash of protein recipes. So we'll be doing, I believe we'll be doing a salad with like fajita topping and a couple other things, but I'm gonna have to go check. I might actually do another special show where we just sit and talk about some stuff for a little bit, but I haven't decided yet. So I have to go through what I have and make the schedule for May. But I will post that on Twitter and on Facebook and on the main page soon. So I will let you guys know. And Zeus wants to know, for the burgers, would the same amount of lentils be as filling as a 1/4 pound serving of beef, or would someone possibly need more if they're used to eating a 1/4 pound of meat? That I don't know. So, usually a serving of lentils is about a cup. So considering that the serving size of these is a little smaller, it might not have as much protein. But that being said, lentils have a lot more fiber. Like, meat doesn't have fiber in it. The thing that keeps you fuller for longer is actually fiber. So, might depend on the person, yes. So the fiber is going to take a little bit longer for you to digest. It is supposed to help keep you fuller for longer. So if protein is mainly your concern, you might not get the same amount out of the lentil burger than a beefy burger. I haven't checked. It's going to be pretty close, but again, I'm not 100% sure. I just know that lentils do have quite a bit of protein in them, but any vegan source of protein that's whole food is not going to be as proteinous as the meat alternative, but usually a vegetarian meat substitute is the same amount of protein as the beefy or chickeny original counterpart. And I'm not sure if that's because that's how the companies have planned it, or if it's just because of the protein density of the ingredients. So a lot of times when companies make meat substitutes, they use pea protein and wheat gluten. Wheat gluten is the protein that is from flour, basically. So it's very concentrated compared to if you had like the whole flour. It's basically just the protein. So basically they wash most of the fiber out of flour, and what's left is wheat gluten protein, which is extremely high in protein. So that's one of the reasons why vegan meat substitutes are pretty much the same amount of protein as real meat. You'll notice like on Beyond Meat chicken or something like that, it's exactly the same amount as a serving of chicken. So it's pretty cool how they do that. And if you're used to getting your protein, your macronutrients from meat, and you wanted to switch it up to do, you know, stuff that's lower in fat, lower in cholesterol, and you wanted to use the vegetarian versions, that's something to keep in mind. So you should basically be getting the same amount of protein, and maybe not the same amount of calories, but pretty close by switching to a meat substitute as opposed to the conventional, traditional, actual meat as opposed to fake meat. But yeah, so does anybody have any more questions? I wanted to close, aside from, you know, telling you about the next shows for the next couple weeks, by saying that I will be going to another event in July in Hamden, Connecticut. It's called Compassion Fest. I do have the event on my Facebook page, so you can go check that out, RSVP, add it to your calendar. It's July 21st, and I believe it's from 10 to 5 in Hamden, Connecticut. So I'll be there, and I'll be talking about I'll have a booth, basically. I'm not going to be giving a demo or a talk or anything. I'm going to have some booklets to sell, and you can just come and talk, and it'll be fun. There's going to be so many people there. There's even going to be a tattoo booth set up where people can get like these little tiny mini tattoos, really specific designs. So I'm really looking forward to that, actually, because I've always wanted to get a tattoo, but I've never done it before, so I probably will get one if time allows, and I can go away from my booth for that amount of time. So we'll see. So yeah, thank you guys for coming, and I'm gonna get going because I have a lot of stuff I still have to do for the rest of the day. And yeah, I'll see you later.